Hey, welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I have Miguel Hernandez from Grumo Media with me. And if you see any startup videos, Hipmunk, or a bunch of other videos online where there's those animated awesome videos, you are the guy that's probably the one responsible for it, and you actually started that trend. So welcome to the podcast, and we can get into talking about how you grew your business and what video has done for you.
Well, hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be at your show here. I love to do interviews, and if there's anything I can do to help you, learn how to grow a business or something like that, I have a little bit of experience with my small animation studio. So you want to know how I started the company, right?
Yeah, so you started several years ago.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what was it, your second video actually got picked up by Ashton Kutcher?
Yeah, okay. So I started exactly in October 2010, right? At that time, I had to spend 1 year and a half working on my own little startup. I was developing a project management tool that was a complete failure. So that was Grumo Media was my second attempt. And after that failure, I didn't have any money, but I did have some skills on animation, which I used to actually promote that original website. It was called PointKit, right? And then a local startup saw that video and said, Miguel, could you do something similar for our website? And their app was called Samify. So I said, sure, I need some work, let's do it. So for very little money, I put this video together, and that was the first official video that I ever did, the Samify video. And then these people actually got acquired by Twitter a year and a half later, so they did very well for themselves. And then after that video, I realized, wow, there's probably a big market for this, but the only way I can know if there's a market is I actually validate this idea, right? Because my problem before is I created a whole project management tool online without actually finding if people wanted that or if I was the right person to do it, right? So I made a big financial and time commitment to do this, and nothing really came out of that. So this time around, I said, okay, before I spend another year and a half doing this, I better make sure that I'm actually the right person to do this, right? So on my second video, I said, okay, instead of just doing a bunch of videos or trying to do that, I'm gonna validate this the best possible way. So I used a strategy. I said, okay, I'm gonna do a video, but I'm gonna do a spec video. All right. The path mapper video that got picked up by Ashton Kutcher was actually the third, which was very lucky. But in the second video was the Hipmunk video. So what I did, I'm like, okay, I'm sure some people in Silicon Valley, because I was and I'm a big fan of the startup community in Silicon Valley. There's somebody there that probably needs a video, right? And it turns out that almost everybody needs a demo video. So I investigated and I honed in Hipmunk, and I really like their product. I really like their founders, and they didn't have a video. So I said, well, maybe if I do a free video for these people and they like it, they may introduce me to a lot of other people, or because they have a lot of leverage, because they're fairly popular people in Silicon Valley, if they tweet it or something, it's going to be kind of like marketing for me. So I did that bet. I spent 2 weeks developing this video by myself, and then I sent it to them. And then the co-founder of Hipmunk, Alexis Ohanian, which was also the co-founder of Reddit.com, so fairly influential person now in Silicon Valley, picked up the video, really liked it, and exactly what I dreamed happened. So I was very lucky. The reality is that when I started this company, I was very lucky, but there was a strategy behind it. It was not, that strategy just happened to work. Now, on my third video, the founder of pathmapper.com, this apartment search list that maybe some of you are familiar, but it's really cool. You should check it out. If you're looking for an apartment, you have to check it out. It's really awesome. Came to me. He saw the Hipmunk video. He actually saw it thanks to Alexis Ohanian, and he said, I want a video like that. And then I just did the same thing I did for Alexis, and I created the path mapper video. Now, I was very lucky, second time in a row, on my third video, that Ashton Kutcher really liked that video because he was familiar with the founder and the company, And he said, wow, this is an awesome. And then he tweeted that video to all his followers, which back then was over 6 million people. Now, that is really good free marketing and extremely lucky situation. So that's how Grumo Media started. After that, I had enough visibility in the industry that since then, I've been getting work on a regular basis without having to spend any single dollar on marketing. Now, this is an unusual situation. But I think what you can learn from it is maybe be strategic about how you start your business or how you get those customers, right? So that's a little bit of a long, short story of how I started.
No, that's a pretty interesting story. And so you went through and did the work. You had some strategy behind it.
Yes.
And then you got a lot of that social influence. I've researched from other videos, and it says 100% of your business comes from either social or content.
Exactly.
And so
yeah,
you believe very much in creating really good content.
Yeah.
Now, what's the reasoning behind paying it, just putting forth the good work instead of putting money into ad campaigns or things like that?
I think the main reason, there's probably two main reasons. The first one is that I didn't have the money to be able to spend on doing advertising back then. And now that I could do it, I don't do it because I still have enough business that I don't feel the need that I need to find more business and spend money on it. And the second reason why I didn't do it is because I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to, the world of online advertising and spending ads on keywords and Google ads and Facebook ads and all of that. You have to know what you're doing, or you're going to probably pretty much waste your money, right? Because it's a whole science behind it. You can maybe say, okay, well, for demo videos, I'm definitely going to have to pay or bid money for that keyword on Google ads, right? But there's much more than that, right? So I did investigate a little bit of how that world works, but in reality, to be able to spend money online, you have to know what you're doing. And ideally, if you have a little bit of budget, you hire a company or an individual that has experience doing that, and then you see some return on your investment. In my case, my approach was what they call inbound marketing, which is basically create really good content, blog regularly about your subject, try to get in contact with bloggers that may contact you about writing about demo videos, doing interviews like this help a lot, and then getting websites to link back to your website. And then what happens is that you start showing up on Google results. You start ranking higher in Google, basically. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the traffic that we get is organic search traffic of people that are literally looking for product demo videos. That's our main keyword, right? And then they find us on the first results, and then they land in our page, and a percentage of those people become customers, right? So that's basically how it works now.
So the way that I found you, I actually became a student of one of your courses.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so,
thank you.
And we haven't gotten to that yet. So you actually have two sides of your business.
That's right. Yeah.
The actual media company, the studio that's creating the videos.
Yeah.
And then you went on Udemy and created a course. And is it correct? You were one of the top content producers for Udemy, isn't that right?
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah. Now they've grown tremendously. It's a fairly new company, Udemy.com, but they've grown exponentially. But 2 years ago, at least for the first couple of years, I was one of the top instructors. Now I'm still one of the top instructors, but there's so many of them now, right? But yeah, that is the second source of main revenue for me, for the studio, right? And that's something I recommend people starting to do also. If possible, have as many sources of revenue as possible. Just because if one fails, at least you have a backup, right? Mm-hmm. In my case, I was lucky enough to find early enough about Udemy and about just the fact that people were willing to pay for good online education. And this is now a very popular trend today, but it's just funny. Only 3 years ago, it was not as popular. I mean, you had lynda.com where you could, pay a monthly subscription, and you still can do that and learn almost anything you want. But individual teachers didn't really have a way or a simple way to create courses and put them online and put a price and then make money with them, right? And this is something I discovered, just probably almost 3 years ago. And then I decided to create a course on how to create demo videos, and it turned out to do very well, right? So one of the things that also helped in my business is that the fact that the course did well was also a way for me to indirectly get customers to Grumo Media. So we're talking about how to get business online. Well, one was inbound marketing, so creating really good content, and it has helped a lot. But also my courses are a way of indirect advertising for my company. So that if my courses do well, my animation business does well as well too, right? So there's a synergy there.
Okay, so from the research that we did about your course production through Udemy, you went through and it looks like you followed the same model of validating the idea. So before you even created the course, you created a landing page.
Yeah,
and you said,
exactly.
"Hey, this is a course I want to do," and then you pre-sold it. Can you tell us, our audience, a little bit about that, and then how was that important to actually growing and creating that product?
Okay. Well, exactly. That's what I did. So I think I was very conscious about not wasting time, because if you do spend a year and a half of your life programming many hours and nothing comes out of it, or you have a big failure like that, you're very conscious that every time you're going to do something you're going to do a big investment on your time to build anything, you want to make sure that actually people want it, right? And luckily now we have the tools on the internet to do that without very little investment. With very little investment, you can set up a website, a landing page, a little introduction video, and a sales page, and then drive traffic to it, like either with telling all your friends about it, or telling all your followers on your Facebook page or Twitter followers. Drive in there, say, "Hey, I created this product. What do you think about it?" Get some feedback. To me, I was more bullshit than that. I was said, I'm going to create the sales page, but I'm going to charge from day one without even having the course. Because really what matters is not whether people tell you I would buy it or not. It's whether people will buy it. So my recommendation is, if you have a product, whether it's an online course or an ebook or something like that, create this sales page. Put a PayPal button. Don't be afraid to charge money from day one. But just explain that, okay, those people that pre-buy the course in advance, right, will get a tremendous discount because they're the first buyers. And once it's released, well, I'll send you a notification saying the book is ready, the course is ready. And guess what? If I don't have enough validation, I'll return your money. So really, there's no risk on your part. All I'm asking you is, give me $20 or whatever amount you want, and then if it doesn't go through, you get your money back. But on my case, on the case of the person that is creating the product, doing this validation is very important. So in my case, I created the landing page for this course, and before I created the course, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna charge you like 25% of what the course will cost. And then I said to myself, I'm gonna give this a month. So let's see if I get any sales in a month. Because if after, I could see my blog already was getting, 500 to 700 visits visits a day. I know if all these people are getting to this landing page and nobody buys it in 1 month, obviously this is not something people want. And at the end of the month, I said, if at the end of the month I have a reasonable amount of sales, then I will go forward and spend 2 months or whatever it takes to create this course. And after 1 month, I had 25 sales. So I'm like, that's pretty good. I never sold anything online like that. And 25 sales, I think it was, I don't know how much mine, maybe it was like $2,000 or something like that. $2,000 for something I haven't built? Wow, that's great validation. So after I got that validation, I went ahead and created the entire course, and it happened to do very well. Now, will that happen to you? If you do the same approach, will you get $2,000, all of that? I don't know. It really depends on many factors. But whatever you do, make sure you, before you spend a lot of time doing something, try to validate it. And then if it's good, people will buy it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It was a pretty, what's the word? Bold approach to go that way.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. Bold approach.
Yeah. And it paid off. And what did you do? Was it 90,000 through Udemy? Isn't that what I read in some notes?
The first year and the second year, actually 2 years in a row, the sales through Udemy were 90,000. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that was more money. I've worked on a big companies for a total of 7.5 years in the past, right? Originally, I was a mechanical designer, and then I worked on television and stuff like that, and I had a steady paycheck. I never made that amount of money a year. So I was doing this amount of sales on a single course, plus the revenue coming from the animation business. So I was like, wow, this is pretty good, right? And again, well, not everybody is going to create a course that becomes a top seller, and every day is harder. But it really validates the idea to me that if you have a good product and you know how to market it and you're strategic about it, yes, people are actually willing to pay for that. And a lot of people say this to me, and everybody that teaches online is like, well, but you can find all this information free online. Why would people buy it? And I'm like, I agree. I never thought people would be willing to pay for this information, when if you actually spend the time to search for it, you may find it. But it turns out that if you're adding value. Now, when I create a course, what you're doing is doing all the work that somebody will have to do anyways to find that information freely, and you package it very nicely in a course. You put a price to it. Well, there's a lot of value. Now you don't have to go online and spend hours trying to find good information or weeding the bad from the good. It's all there in one piece. And that product has value that people are willing to pay for.
Absolutely. And I think there's something about I don't know, there's probably about, we'll call it 10% or 20% that you can't find on a free course, because there's that extra piece of magic to it.
Yeah.
And something we talked about right before we started interviewing was the scripting. And so one of the skills that you have is in 60 seconds to 90 seconds in these demo videos, you can get the message across of what this company is about.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't know if you can quite refine and figure out through watching YouTube videos or free courses. It's a unique skill. Can you talk about why it's so important to be able to quickly and concisely explain what your company is and get a person hooked?
Yeah, this is what we do at Grumo Media, right? So we've done hundreds of videos right now, and the biggest challenge that we have is not the technical challenge of animating, right? It's to basically understanding what a company does, understanding their target market, understanding their product, understanding all these, hundreds of variables that make a business, and put that into 90 seconds, right? Which means you have to leave out a lot and decide what should stay on the video and what shouldn't stay on the video. So it is a process of getting to know the product, of talking to the client. Sometimes not products are very different, right? If you have a consumer product that is very easy to understand, right, then coming up with a story that anybody can relate to is easier. The biggest challenge that I found when doing videos is when we get a very obscure, let's say, software company doing cloud computing with a very technical audience. And I have some technical knowledge, but I'm not an expert in cloud computing. So now we have to learn about this company, understanding what is this audience really looking is going to get excited about. Because at the end, I put myself on the shoes of who is going to be listening to this, and I have to understand what would make me very excited to hear from this company for me to take action. Because the whole idea of these videos is to take action at the end. It's, okay, well, I watched the video, I'm excited, okay, I'm going to contact them, I'm going to buy the product, do something. So it's really a matter of how can I pretend I'm this person. I visualize myself watching the video. There has to be a moment or 2 moments in the video where I'm like, damn, I like these guys. I understand it. It makes sense. I want to, I'm sold, basically, right? And it's a pretty tricky process. But then there is after a while, we've come up with kind of like a procedure to be able to evaluate if a script is good or not, right? Because otherwise, if you don't have certain parameters, when I hire other script writers, they'll be all over the place trying to figure out how to come up with a script, right? So basically, our videos, the first constraint is that they're short. They're usually not longer than 90 seconds. So that's the first thing. Whatever you have to say, it cannot take 2 hours or 3 minutes. No, it's 90 seconds maximum, if possible. After that, people get bored, or you can say a lot of stuff in 90 seconds, right? The second constraint is that in 90 seconds, if you have a narrator, that means that when you're writing the script, there's a maximum amount of words that you can put in there, right? So it's usually anywhere from 180 to 200 words, a little bit more sometimes. So whatever you want to say has to be in 200 words. Second limitation, right? The third thing, there has to be 3 sections, right? The first section, you explain what the current problem or pain is in whatever market that you're trying to solve. The second, you introduce and explain what your product is. So, the problem, the hero comes and solves the problem. And the third is a call to action. So, there's the third parameter, right? Mm-hmm. And then on our videos, we want to make sure that everything flows very nicely and that that we can emotionally grab the audience. Because, and if you took my course, you probably remember this, we based a lot of the way how we rate or create our scripts on the book called Made to Stick, right? And they have this thing they call the success, it's a success acronym, right? And it's like, it has to be simple, it has to be a story, it has to be, the whole thing, right? So we make sure that every part of the script fits somehow what this book says, which is what basically the whole concept of the book is learning what makes ideas stick, or basically what makes stories memorable. And at the end of the day, you want a video to be memorable, right? So emotion is a big part of that, right? So how can I because what we get many times is people writing a script and you read it and the information is there, great. Everything they wanted to say about the company is there. But it doesn't make you feel anything. It's just like, all right, awesome. I understand what your company does, but I'm not emotionally invested. You didn't grab me. I didn't feel anything, right? And you want to feel something. One of the things that we use in our videos, we try, if possible, we said, let us use a little bit of humor. Because the moment somebody smiles, that one time, that makes the biggest difference. You only have to get them to smile once to make them remember that video. And that's tricky. It's like being a stand-up comedian. Making people laugh is not easy, right? And every audience is different. So that is where I think a lot of the magic comes in our videos, is that we try to figure out how to make people smile at least once or twice without distracting them from the main message, right? So there's a lot of things you have to combine there. And it's a very rewarding process once you get to that script. So like this you could find on the internet if you search for free. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you figure it out. To me, it's been a lot of trial and error, and I put it in a course, and obviously people thought that was interesting to learn, right? And you got a glimpse of the course now, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, essentially you're creating magic.
Yeah.
Humor. Let's talk about humor for a second.
Yeah.
All the interviews that I've seen, you come across as like a really laid-back dude that's like just a super happy person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got your logo, like the Grumo logo. Like that's something you see, and like right away, it just makes you kind of smile.
Yeah, before I started this company, I did a lot of research on how to start companies, about brand and identity. So almost everything that you see at Grumo is not by chance. It's actually, I have a pretty square head, believe it or not. I'm a creative person, but I have an engineering background. So everything that you should see, usually there is a reason behind it, right? So when I had to decide the name of the company, the logo, the identity I wanted to give it, how I wanted to people feel when they look at the company, it was all thought out. I wrote down like a series. Okay, why do I want people to feel? I wanted people to feel happy. I want them to smile. I want them to feel relaxed. In a sense, I wanted to be the anti-corporate. I wanted to be the anti-corporate person. To me, corporate is something that is dark and dull and boring. And what we want to do with our videos is shed some light and happiness into it, right? Because we believe whatever you do doesn't have to be boring. I don't care if you're doing differential equations on a corner. You still can make that interesting to people if you put the right attitude on it, right? And the other thing I wanted to be is to be genuine. So I said, okay, well, whatever my brand is, it has to be like an extension of who I am. So, okay, if I feel this is how I am, then I'm going to put it in the name. I'm going to put it on the logo. So it took me a long time to figure out, okay, why should I choose Grumo? Well, first I investigated how do you choose the name of a company. And to me, what it became important is make sure that it's short. So it only has 5 letters. It has to be easy to pronounce in many different languages, right? And it has to be ideally a word that is not a common word. Because if you type, let's say if your company is called House, you type house on Google, you're going to get a million different results. But if you type Grumo today, I'm the first or the second result. And to me, that was very important. That was strategically thought. I want to use a name that is very differentiated, that is easy to pronounce. And that's after that, you don't come with many different options because most of the names are taken already, right? And then you have to find a name that you can buy the domain ideally for and it's not bought already. And you want to make sure you can get the .com and not the .net. And actually, originally I got the grumomedia.com, but the grumo.com was taken by somebody that had it for like 10 years and didn't do anything with it. I had to negotiate and eventually pay $3,000 for grumo.com. Then I trademarked the Grumo brand in North America, and that cost almost a year and a half to do, right? So a lot of thought into, okay, how do I come up with the name? How does this represent who I am? The history. I always thought, and I read that it was very important that when you choose the name of a company or a brand, there should be a story. So what's the story of my company? What's the story of my name, right? So there has to be a story. It's not just whatever name because I think it's cool. No. Can you tell a story about why you chose that name? So I said, yeah. In my case, the name of my company is the name that of a little cat that we used to have like 12 years ago. And it was really cute. And it really, when you looked at it, this is the feeling I got that I thought it should be in our videos. Our videos should make people feel the same way that when they look at a little fluffy kitten, which everybody loves, right? Who doesn't love kittens? The whole internet, 90% of the internet is fluffy kittens, right? So I'm like, if I can put that feeling into my videos, I have a winner, right? So that's a little bit of the thought process behind it.
The Fluffy Kitten Company. It just doesn't have as good of a ring, does it?
Exactly, right? So,
how important do you think being strategic and thinking of the name and taking all this like methodical thought is?
Yeah.
How important is that to the actual growth of a business?
I think it helps because what I'm noticing is that at the end of the day, people, the brand, you know, there's now hundreds of companies that do demo videos. And for any other business or market, there's hundreds, thousands of people doing the same thing. There's a 1,000 pizza places, 1,000 coffee places, 1,000 people that do SEO. Why do people end up choosing one? It's because they feel connected with the brand, right? And that's why it's very important to put a lot of effort in creating a brand that is strong, that is memorable, that tells a story, that make people feel what you want them to feel, right? So in my case, in my little way, this is how I thought I could do it, right? And so when you're starting a business, think how you can do that. You know, what do you want people to feel when they're looking at your brand? You know, because there's gonna be many people that are gonna do. If you're in any kind of market that has any kind of success, there's gonna be competition. How are you gonna differentiate yourself? It has to be not just product, right? Because you know people can invest more in the product, make it better. But it has to be a combination of product and brand. And a lot of people don't use logic to make decisions. In fact, I think a lot of people, that's the last thing they use. It's like, does this feel good? Does it make me feel good? Do I look good? It's more about feeling. So I know a lot of people that come to Grumo and end up doing our videos. I'm sure if they pay more money, they could get a fancier video somewhere else done. But they probably read a little bit of the story of the company. They see me on an interview like this, and they're like, I relate to this dude. You know, he seems like a approachable person. I want to do business with this individual because I connect with the brand, right? And that's very, very important.
You make a good point. What are the future plans for Grumo Media? What do you guys want to do next?
I was discussing this with my partner here. Every day I'm thinking what to do with Grumo Media, because all I think is about what. Unfortunately, I think too much about business all the time. So one of the things we wanted to do this year is maybe do other type of different videos, because what we realized is that the explainer demo video, it's a very specific type of video, and we get continuous requests, and sometimes we don't even understand why we get these requests. Of doing completely different type of videos, right? So we get a lot of people asking to do Kickstarter videos, right? Or crowdfunding. They want to raise money, or they want to, get people to invest on their idea or whatever. And we're realizing that's not the same as an explainer video. That's a video where you're trying to convince people. You explain them your idea and your vision, and then you have the ask. Right? So in a sense, it has the three. Well, all stories have an arc, right, and 3 acts, right? But it's a different type of video. It's for a different type of purpose. So we're thinking, could we become really good at doing those type of videos? Or there's videos like where people want to talk about the culture of their company, of the mission of their company, and we just did one, and we struggled a lot because we realized we're trying to use the same parameters that we use to create an explainer video to do a mission video, which where usually you're not talking about a specific product, you're talking more about the whole concept of the business, right? That's a different type of approach. So one of the goals I wanted to have for the future is maybe become a shop where we become really good at finding out what makes all these type of different videos extremely good, and then with that formula, you come and you say, okay, like a menu, right? Well, we want to explain our video, sure. Or we want a mission video, or we want a Kickstarter video, or we want a video of our culture, or a video that talks about a product, or live action video. Something we haven't done is live action, where you have real cameras and actors, stuff like that. There's a limitation when you do that, which is you only can do videos locally unless they fly you across the world, right? But we wouldn't mind doing a couple of those just to see what it takes. I mean, funny enough, before I started Grumo Media, I had way more experience doing live action video, music videos than animation. So it would be interesting to go back to that a little bit, right? Another thing that we're doing, which has nothing to do with, is nothing related with this, is we're developing an app, like our first iPhone app, right? And so that's a completely different thing. Yeah. And probably if it does somewhat well, what we'll do is create a separate business dedicated to that app, or to developing apps or something like that. But it's something very recent. We'll be releasing that maybe at the end of the next month. And the app is called, I'm just gonna say it, it's because it's very simple. It's called Books, Films, and Bands. So, and it's basically that. It's an app where you can add those 3 items. And it sounds very stupid, and probably it is. But let me tell you, people, when they use this app, they love it, because you're having a conversation, and we realize that and I'm paying attention now, when you're meeting people casually, over 60% of the time, somebody mentions one of those three items. It's true. Did you watch that movie? Did you? And then the question is, how do you not forget about it? So people use all kinds of like papers or notes, and it's all over the place. So we decided to make this the home of all the things that make you interesting, which usually in conversations are those three items, right? And there's some trickery there that makes it really useful as well. So anyways, when it comes out, pay attention because it's going to blow the whole world.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've been really impressed with the work that you're doing. And I mean, I sent you an email a while back. Yeah. I just said, thanks for putting out good stuff. And you were approachable. And luckily, you're part of this new crowd of business owners, of startups, of these entrepreneurs that care about their customers. And you've got humor, and you've got a memorable story. Yeah. And I'm super impressed.
Well, thank you. But I think if there's anything to learn, because let's be realistic. I mean, this business that I have, it's a small business, right? If you were to look at the revenues that this business generates, it wouldn't be much more than the corner store, like the 7-Eleven down the street. And this is what I say to people, right? But we're not talking that this is a startup that raised millions and stuff like that. What I think there's a new opportunity of business owners to make a living online and do everything themselves and having the freedom to, like, right now I'm at my sister-in-law's place, house sitting. There's a little cute dog right here, but I'm working, I'm talking to you. I could be in Bahamas right now, and I still can run this type of business. I think this is something that is very recent in history that you can do that. And a lot of people don't realize that they don't have to be stuck on their 9-to-5 jobs if they have a little bit of creativity and persistence. And I am an example of that, and you are an example of that. And I think that a lot of people that are not happy with what they're doing right now, they don't realize that now they have the opportunity to live this type of life where they have plenty of free time. They can dream of things. They can make customers happy all around the world. Like, when could you, from home, have clients all around the world? Right now, recently we just got approached by a big phone company in China. I don't even know how they found us, but that's the beauty of the internet. And they want us to do videos in Chinese. I don't speak Chinese, so I have to hire a Chinese animator. And I don't know, they love our videos. They want us to do videos for them. This couldn't happen even 10 years ago, right? So get on the train.
That's awesome, man. How can our audience learn more about you and your company?
Well, just go to grumomedia.com and just browse around. My web. I should change. Another thing I should do in the future is change my website. I think it's very obsolete. It's very functional though. It looks like a blog. So you just look around and you can look at more interviews like this. And look at my courses, and the whole story is there. So the easiest way is just go to my website. Okay. Definitely.
And Miguel, I've got one other thing. I like to do what I call a 48-hour challenge. And so I like to ask the person I'm interviewing to issue our listeners a challenge of something to do within 48 hours. Okay. So what's a challenge that you could ask our listeners to do within 48 hours?
Wow. I didn't prepare for this.
I know. Okay. I don't ever prepare our presenters on this.
Hey, I just read this book. This is easy. And I'm not affiliated with this book writer. But I read this book and I thought, man, if I would have read this book a long time ago, that would have helped to come up with ideas. And it's called The Business Model Generation, I think it's called. You just type business model generation, something like that. Go and get it. I think it's $15 or something like that. Read that book. And the beauty of this book is that you understand, because people come, next thing after you watch this video, I had this idea, I'm going to do it. No. An idea is just like 10% of what it takes to build a business. What this book teaches you is that, what it takes, what are all the different parts on a business that need to be in place for a business to be a real business, not just an idea. You have to think of your value proposition, your customers, the resources, how you're going to get the money, what are you going to be your partnerships, and then this book teaches you how to lay this out on an actual canvas. So it forces you to think of all these different parts. So if you buy this book and get it, I'm sure you get a lot of value from it in the next 48 hours. I'm sure you can do that.
Okay. So to read the business model generation, or
yeah,
just viewing the business model canvas.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's business model generation. Yeah. I'm looking online right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a businessmodelgeneration.com. Boom, there you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast.
My pleasure.
And I hope that our listeners are able to have some serious takeaways. I mean, you gave the formula for creating these videos, and they can say thanks to you by visiting your website and giving Grumo a shout out.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot for interviewing me.
Thanks, man.
Anytime.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.